I'm just taking a little walk before my trading day, and I see this red building, and I'm just gonna, hope that my trading day isn't as red as this building. Well, there you have it. That just wraps up trading for today. I think today may have been just about the slowest day of the month, definitely of the week. I knew it was going to be a slow day when I ran the scanner at around 8 a.m. this morning. The two top gappers, if you could even call them that, I didn't even want to trade either one of them. And then I just put them on the two top gappers because I just wanted to put something. It wasn't until like about 8:50 or maybe even closer to 9:15 when I ran the scanner again, especially during the live stream, then we found CPAH, which was looking at least a little bit promising, but it ended up pulling back, doing the gap and crap, kind of just pull back. Like we've been seeing for the last week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks now. So it's been a really kind of slow last few weeks in the market. We just not have really seen those really nice gappers that once the market opens up, these things keep running 10, 30, 40, 50%. I don't know where they are. But I know at one point they will come back. And for now, that's why I've been a little bit more cautious in the morning. That's why I have not been trading that first, 1 minute spike to the upside, because almost all of them have been pulling back 10, 15, 20% before doing a little bit of a bounce. And that's kind of what we've been trading lately. Now, I don't know how long this is going to go for, but at the moment, this kind of leaves us with two options, right? We could, in theory, short, right? Option number one would be shorting that first 1 minute spike to the upside and then taking that, 10, 15, 20% profit to the downside. Although I would probably be taking my profits much, much quicker if I was short because these are low floats. So if they do go to the upside, you will be in a tight position for a short squeeze. So again, that's not really something I want to be doing. Plus, for this small account challenge, we are only going long because we are in a cash account and you need a margin account for shorting. So kind of option one, I don't know. I probably won't do it. Option two, and this is something that I have been kind of thinking about, and almost, I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday, I almost did do it, and that is some pre-market trading. So pre-market, if we see a nice gapper and it's kind of starting to consolidate above VWAP and kind of bouncing off that area, a lot of times I have found that those are the ones that spike for that first 1 minute. So maybe we can do something with that. Maybe we can, secure a nice entry and then sell into that first 1 minute spike to the upside, maybe getting about 10 to 20% upside on that one trade. So that might be something I might be looking into. I don't know. I kind of only want to be trading after the market opens because that's where the volume is. But right now we have that small account, right? Our position sizes right now are only about $1,000. So that is not really enough to affect the market whatsoever, which means in theory, we could do some pre-market trading without too much risk of having, slippage or having liquidity issues, especially if it's the number one gap and go stock, which kind of guarantees that the volume is already there. All right, guys, we got several tickers I want to review with you guys today, especially AGRX, because wow, what a absolute dip it had, just like WLL had yesterday when we were doing the recap video. I hope you guys saw that. Definitely check out yesterday's recap video if you didn't, because that was an absolute roller coaster, and I'm still having FOMO from yesterday that I did not trade that one. So today, AGRX was the one that was falling off a cliff, and I want to review that chart with you guys first. All right, guys, like always, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this content, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. I would love to see you again and on the live stream. Let's go to the charts. To really address the question of what to do on a slow trading day is, kind of what I said in the intro, is you just don't really want to do too much. You don't want to get overly aggressive. And that's kind of what we did today. Most of today, I was just watching different stocks, different tickers, and I was, thinking, okay, well, what could we do? And, just trying to sit back and learn a little bit. I was trying not to have any FOMO. I was trying not to have any arbitrary rules in my head that was in the vicinity of, let's say, I need to make 50, I need to make $100 today, or better yet, 5 or 10% today, because we have a smaller account size. It makes a little bit more sense. So I wasn't trying to put myself in some sort of box. I just understood some days are slow, and slow days are typically better not to do anything because, it's choppy. You don't want to get stuck in a bad trade, yada, yada. So AGRX, I think, is the perfect example of that, because some people were probably trading AGRX waiting for a breakout past 4.5, This was a little bit of a gapper, but kind of pulled back and then just started selling off in the morning, but very, very slow. So maybe you're thinking, okay, maybe this one has the potential to break out higher. Maybe there's something here. And then before you know it, all of a sudden, this thing falls off a cliff and goes down 35%. So this is pretty similar to what we saw yesterday with WLL. And again, guys, we got it all on video, the whole entire crash. So if you want to check that out, it was yesterday's recap video. So here you can see it. I mean, this thing also, I mean, I can't even speak right now because I get so excited when I look at this chart. This chart was even more aggressive. This pulled back about 50%. And this turnaround was easier to call out. You can see the buyers kind of coming in. There was a big order, and then, you know, it crept up. I mean, most of the buying happened that first 1 minute. I think this was like a 10 or 15% pop right here, 13%. But still, you know, you could have got in after that. And we just watched this whole thing. I didn't really want to trade it. It was already a bit later in the day, 11:30. Yeah, I didn't really want to get aggressive on this one. But still, just so much fun to watch this. And, you know, it kind of comes back and really holds its highs. This thing ran up about 70%. Let me see if I can, yeah, right around here, 70%. So again, with AGRX, this could have been a move. Now, I was a little bit nervous with this one because it did get halted, and it got halted, what was that? Right around, I think it was here at 2.88. We were watching this on the stream. It was really good fun. And I was a bit nervous that, you know, halts typically continue in the direction they were halted in. So I was thinking that this thing might go all the way down to 2.5 or maybe even $2. You can see on the long-term chart what that looks like. And right now it's a massive red hammer candle with the wick just going right past $3. Actually, on the long-term chart, this thing is an absolute beauty. You would think, you know, if I just had a limit order waiting here at 2.8 or something where there's many tops, this would have been the ticket. Maybe I should have been more focused on that. But you just don't know how far these things can go. And within, you know, 10 seconds, you can be down 10, 20%, especially if it gets halted again as it's going down. I mean, this is just very risky. Obviously, there's huge reward here, and we could have made an absolute killing off of this. 47% it bounces off. Now, there's no way I would have held it all the way into that. I definitely would have probably got out as we approached this VWAP/former support area where the first pullback was. I don't think I would have held it much past that. If I would have held it past that, then I definitely would have got out here at 3.79 or 3.8 or something like that. But just absolutely huge. It even got halted again on the way back up. So this thing is insane. And, you know, this just happens with these low floats sometimes. They just don't have a lot of tension. There's a big buyer, a big seller, and they just absolutely, you know, they just dump the market, and it's, like there's just not enough buyers sometimes to hold these things up. I was really kind of thinking about it for a little bit to maybe enter around 2.75. I do like that area, especially when you see that you know, $3, the key support area gets broken, and then the buying or the selling slows down and the buying starts picking up. That's a great way to identify a pivot zone and then jump on that. The only problem was it was halted. So it was really hard to identify that this thing was going to reverse. And the second it did, it popped all the way back up here. That was a 10% pop, and then it got halted again. So that reversal, buying that reversal would have been really, really tricky. On the other hand, WLL, the one I showed you guys in the beginning, was much, much more straightforward. You could really see that stock turn around. So I think if AGRX was a little bit more similar to WLL, I probably would have jumped on it. But again, I knew I wanted to be a little bit more, you know, pause off today. So that's just what happened. We missed this one. All right, before I talk about CPAH, which was our lead gapper of the day, I want to talk about SNGX and COCP very, very quickly, because these two were the original gappers. And I just want to show you guys why I decided not to trade them. So SNGX was our lead gapper. And trust me, when I put this as my lead gapper in the morning, I was like, oh man, this is kind of embarrassing. Like, I really don't believe that this thing's going to keep going, because anytime you see something that just spikes up this aggressively and then almost gives back all of its profits, you know that there's probably only one way that stock's going to continue. It gave back 19% of its profits, but it only gapped up about 20-30%. So that's a large chunk. And yeah, it was under VWAP, just completely getting sold into, and then, you know, market opens and it just keeps on dipping. So good thing that we stopped watching SNGX. And similar situation with COCP. Now, unlike SNGX, COCP was holding its highs a little bit better, and that's why in the live stream I kind of said, honestly, I kind of would rather be trading COCP, but again, kind of similar situation, just not that much volume, not that much interest. I didn't really feel this one at all either. I also tried to pull up a little bit here, but then, pulls back a little bit again. And the overall gap was only 40%. So not the craziest gap, not like the 50%, 60, 70, 80, 90% gappers, or even 100 plus gappers that, we're typically looking for. So again, was a little bit pause off. Not to mention, this was sub-dollar, and trading sub-dollar stocks, they're a little bit less predictable sometimes, or just they're a little bit more sporadic in the spread. So you'll get these stocks that kind of move in a little bit, in a way that's a little bit harder to get executions, or maybe to have a nice, clean, liquid trade. So, watching the ticker and then seeing, resistance come in, they'll just be like bloop, 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 bouncing back and forth. And I typically don't trade those sub-dollars because of that reason. And COCP was sub-dollar, so I decided, again, I don't really want to be trading it. And yeah, you can kind of see this thing just, sold off the rest of the day. I guess you can say it was a good thing that, we ran the scanner again, and then we found CPAH. This one was looking really crisp. It was between $2 and $7, and that's always what I'm looking for. Let me just load the chart here. Yeah, really nice gap and go, 50% right here, and then it ran all the way up to 60 and then 70, almost 70% with the market open. So really nice. Also, small cap, 18 million market cap, 5.9 million shares outstanding. So kind of like the two lead gappers, in that kind of range. So that was pretty good for all three of them. There's just way more interest here. And pre-market, there was some nice volume. And even though there was a really good amount of buying volume here, pre-market largest candles are all green, it just was not able to hold. And the second the market opened, this thing absolutely got crushed. And I felt like it kind of got crushed a little bit harder than usual. Some of these other stocks we've been watching. Whoa, let me just quickly go to the right spot. Yeah, so opened up, tried to pull higher. This pull to the upside was really, really weak, only 3%, and then just already got sold into. I originally had a limit order right around here at not this one. I think it was on this candle, 3.08. But I removed it because I was like, there's a good chance that this might continue down. And then I was thinking about maybe buying here at 2.97, but I went ahead and removed that order as well. So let's talk a little bit about that pre-market we could have done. So as it was holding this kind of $3 area, which if you quickly go to the long-term chart, you can see that $3 is long-term support and resistance. So if you kind of just come in here a little bit more, you can see we're even kind of balancing on it right now. Thinking pre-market, this is our lead gapper. $3 is big support, and we're holding this area fairly well, and we're going up on VWAP. This could be that potential move, and you can see even pre-market, this thing's already up over 10%, and then right into the opening bell rips up to 15%. So could have been a good trade, and that would have been the pre-market trade. There's also a decent amount of buying volume right here, so would it be no problem for us to be getting in and out of that trade? But yeah, it's just one of those things that's a little sketchier, especially, it's one thing that really put me on edge with a lot of the stocks we've been seeing is they've been former runners, but not, former runners like a few months ago. They've been former runners like, 2 weeks ago. And sometimes that's a little bit too early. You'll get, there's still a lot of people holding a bag. There's just a lot of upside resistance. People have already, all you can kind of see here is, this $4 area is going to be massive resistance. So it's not the same as, the big first green day where you're just like, how far is it going to go up? There's, you look to the left and it's been months since there's been a previous rally. So you don't have that, that benchmark. And this time, it's just too fresh. And we've been seeing that across a lot of the small caps that, there are recent runners, but just a little bit too recent of runners. And I think that's been also a big reason why I've been a little bit more pause off on the opening bell. We did, however, get a nice little double top here. We came all the way back to 3.33. Buying somewhere in here near 2.8 would have been probably the ticket. I did have my limit order at about 2.75 for quite some time. So we kind of missed this entry over right here. And I probably should have got a little bit more aggressive at one point, but I don't know. I wasn't really feeling this thing. it was a really tough one. Maybe buying back here. I remember watching this on the live stream with you guys at around 10.28, and then it broke to the upside here. This was a quick move, about 5-6% move. I don't know. There was definitely many opportunities on it, but at no one time was I fully convinced from any one of the trades that we could have made on CPAH. And just very quickly, let's wrap up with this little special one, FTSI. Now, FTSI was not really something that I wanted to trade today, just because it was sub-dollar. It had very low volume, $2.9 million volume. It also had a bit more shares outstanding than I typically would want to trade. But this is one of the few stocks that was actually going in the right direction. So, you know, pre-market, kind of a slow mover, but overall kind of looking good. At the same time, had good Q4 earnings, beat sales estimates. That's always a good sign. So, you know, this thing's got, you know, some potential behind it. Got a good catalyst. Floats a little bit high, but you know, it's one of those things that can kind of sometimes crawl up slowly throughout the day. We were notified about this one in the chat room. I think Anis, I think you mentioned it again, and it just, you know, it pulled back a little bit. So I don't know, it was just a slow mover. I was never really sold on it, but then eventually right around 10 o'clock, this thing absolutely rips, 38%. And, you know, it was about 9:45 or 9:50 when I was like, you know, we should be looking for stocks that are kind of consolidating, kind of holding their highs, and have the potential to move, you know, 20-30%. And FTSI was the one that ended up doing that. So next time I gotta be a little bit more vigilant on those. They're a little hard to find because there's a lot of stocks that are just kind of consolidating and not doing anything, right? And there's also, you get the occasional stock like WLL or AGRX, which is consolidating, and before you know it, they're down 30%. So it's a tough one. I like to kind of be trading stuff with action, or else it's kind of a guessing game. You're just kind of waiting there. It's always in the back of your mind. It kind of makes you go a little crazy at one point. But FTSI at one point, right after the live stream, I noticed it was just kind of selling off. And you know me, when I see something selling off for just a little bit extendedly and you know could reverse at any moment, I look for those big support areas. And here you can see there's been a top here at 0.7263. We had a breakout from this area, and to me, I love those zones. So guess what? As we pull back to this area, I couldn't help myself, and I just entered this trade. I knew it was probably going to be light. I was waiting for a little bit bigger pop, but I had a limit order here when I was ended the live stream, and I think I was working on something else, and I was like, bing, the limit order went off, checked the computer, and yep, we were in it. Now, I was hoping that this thing would kind of pull all the way back to VWAP pretty quickly. We didn't really get that, and then we started kind of selling off again. I got a partial execution here. I don't know, I could have held it a little bit longer, but this thing was all over the place, and I probably would have got faked out on this candle. So I was pretty happy to get out when I did. I wasn't really expecting too much. I was happy with 3 to 4% is what I was looking for. We got a little bit less than 3% on this trade. Yeah, it looks like if we did hold it the whole time, we could have had a nice 13% trade, but it's really hard to tell with these. And with these support line bounces, you don't want to get greedy, because getting greedy on support line bounces, sometimes you get really, really unlucky, and you get stuck in a trade that you wish you just never got into, and they'll just keep on selling off. So I typically close those positions fairly quickly. We would have had maybe a chance to re-enter right around here, or maybe even in this area as we're consolidating under VWAP, but I don't know. It just, I'm done trading for the day. It was already past 11 o'clock, and I knew that I was kind of breaking my rule a little bit. It's, I don't want to be trading past 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, I knew I just wanted to get out of this trade, and at least we made one small trade for today. So I guess we did trade today, because on the live stream, I was like, wow, I can't believe a whole trading day went by and I didn't do one trade. That's very, very rare. So there we go. I guess it'll continue its rareness. All right, guys, that's everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't done so already. Subscribe if you are new here, and I will see you guys again tomorrow for the last day of the trading week. So till then, guys, like always, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.